How's the market doing? If you're thinking about buying or selling a house in Commerce City, Colorado, you're probably wondering about the current market. That information is coming right up. Hi, I'm Natalie Randall, former teacher turned realtor and real estate strategist, helping people make the move in and to the Denver and North Denver areas. If you want to know everything there is to know about living in Denver and the North Denver area, start now by hitting that subscribe button. P.S. It'll help my self-esteem. And make sure to tap on that bell so that you're notified anytime there's a new market report that I've made just for you. In light of recent events, it can be a bit tough to determine how the market is actually performing. However, I do love analyzing data. Call me a geek, I know, but numbers and stats, well, they're just my jam. So let's take a closer look at what Commerce City, Colorado did in the month of July, which is what we actually call an August report because that's when we have the data we need. So last July in 2019, there were 129 single-family homes for sale. This July in 2020, there were 156 new listings. That's a total increase of 22.8%. Holy smokes, that's what I call a hot seller's market. It's fair to say that the numbers are a bit skewed since everything progressively slowed down with mandatory shutdowns. However, what we're actually seeing is that our current market more closely resembles what we would see in a normal spring market for the Denver area and all the extending North Denver suburb areas. Last July in 2019, there were 125 single-family homes that were sold. And in this July 2020, there were 124 single-family homes sold. That's a 0.8% decrease, which honestly is not even enough to consider using as a metric in understanding the market. Before I get too much further into this, I think it's worth noting that a lot of times a buyer will ask me, well gosh, if there's so fewer homes selling and there's a decrease, does that mean I should wait to buy until the market crashes? Keep in mind what happened in 2007 and 2008 was directly related to the types of home loans that were being distributed. We have no crystal ball. However, chief economists have said that if we have a housing recession, which is not the same as a housing crash, it'll be due to global trading. And we need to remember that purchasing and selling real estate is a long-term investment. There is no such thing as timing the market. If you need to sell, then sell, and if you need to buy, then buy. In other words, don't try to time the market. Base your home purchase simply off your financial well-being and your ability to purchase and afford a home at any given point in time. Notably, interest rates are still incredibly low, so if you've been sitting on the fence and questioning whether or not you should buy, and it's really not a matter of affordability, it's definitely worthwhile to consider taking advantage of the incredibly low interest rates that we have in our current market. The median sales price for a single-family home in July of 2019 was $385,000. The median sales price for a single-family home in July of 2020 is $416,000. That is an incredible 8.1% increase. That's some pretty sweet equity appreciation. Let's talk about what is another important factor for sellers, and that is the percentage of the list price received. So what this means is you list your home at a certain price, and then the percentage of that list price is what you will actually receive when your home is sold and closes to a buyer. So in July of 2019, our percentage of list price received for single-family homes was 99.5%, which is still really incredible. And in July of 2020, the percentage of list price received for those single-family homes was 100.6%. Along these lines, notice that although the percentage of list price received is important because it does indicate a buyer's perception of the value of the home they're interested in purchasing, it's also important to just know that pricing your home competitively in any market will render a sales price close to or above list price. Now, this next stat that I'm going to share with you is actually one that I get asked most often about from my sellers and from my buyers, and it's called days on market. What this statistic actually means is how many days on the market does the house sit until it goes into an under contract or pending status. So in July of 2019, the average home in Commerce City sat on the market for 22 days before going into a pending status. And in July of 2020, the days on market decreased to 17 days. This is great because it actually means that if you're a home seller, your house should sit on the market less than it would have a year ago. And it's about 22.7% decrease from what we saw compared to last year. Now, what does this mean for buyers? Well, what it means for buyers is that currently our market is still a seller's market, and it's still a hot seller's market. So if you're those buyers that are having a hard time making a decision and you fall in love with a home, it's worth making an offer on quickly so you don't find yourself in a competing situation. And even with that being said, you still may find yourself competing. So it's important to work with a knowledgeable agent that can get your offer accepted, like me. This next one is a pretty big indicator of where the mindset is of people regarding the market, whether it's a buyer or a seller. And this key metric or statistic that we're getting ready to talk about is called inventory of homes for sale. Now, what this specifically references is how many homes are currently available for sale in the market. If we look at last year, there were 198 single-family homes in Commerce City for sale. And this year, in July of 2020, there are 100 single-family homes for sale. So we have a little bit of an inventory issue here, which means that total decrease is a decrease of a whopping 49.5%. This is, in my opinion, because there's a lot of buyers out there and we just don't have enough homes for them. Again, that low inventory piece. Based on this alone, the amount of buyers is high, and so the demand for houses is high, which means that the market is hot. This last metric that I want to point out to you is the month supply of inventory, and this is how many homes we have that are available for sale before all the homes sale. So in July of 2019, single-family homes in Adams County was 2 months. 2 months of inventory. That's actually what we had in July of 2019, which is mind-blowing to me because in July of 2020, our month supply of inventory in Adams County is 0.9%. This means, despite the pandemic, despite any uncertainty that people are currently feeling, we are still very much in a seller's market and that the market is sizzling hot. The difference between July of 2019 and July of 2020, year over year, and month supply of inventory is a decrease of 55%. If you have any questions or need some assistance, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. In the description below is a link to this market report. Feel free to download it. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. I don't want you to miss out on what's going on in Denver's market.